Jen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. To say in front of the whole wide world that we are members, we are not beggars. Who are you trying to fool? Who are you trying to fool? You were the one who got I was very impressed because I didn't know any better. But today I know. Today I know. This is a one-sided concept of history. Yes, we should have mobiles. Jen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. So friends, Pakistan's Finance Minister Ishaq Dar says about Pakistan and the IMF, he says, and I quote, "We are members of the IMF, not beggars." Really, Mr. Ishaq Dar? Really? You're not beggars? Well, I'm surprised because Mr. Ishaq Dar, this is exactly what your own Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said a few months back. He said beggars can't be choosers, clearly insinuating that Pakistan was a state that was begging. And he says beggars can't be choosers, implying thereof that they had limited options. And you today are saying that Pakistan is not a beggar state. And this you say between begging Saudi Arabia, between begging China, the United Arab Emirates, the United States of America, remember? Do you remember you went and met Mr. Blom, the American ambassador to Islamabad? You met him? And you met him for the purpose for begging. You said, please, please, please tell the IMF to release funds. Because you recognize that IMF is controlled by the United States of America. So you've been begging the Saudis, the Chinese, the Emiratis, the Americans, everybody. And yet you have the gumption, sir, to say in front of the whole wide world that we are members, we are not beggars. Who are you trying to fool? Who are you trying to fool? You were the one who got a loan, who got aid, and I remember your tweet in which you said, Alhamdulillah, we've got so much money. Where did this money come from? Was it hard-earned money? By Pakistanis? Did you invent a computer, a software, a new type of automobile? What did you invent? Alhamdulillah, Allah be praised, we got money. Shameful, sir. And then you say that you're not beggars. Of course you're beggars. Of course. And here when I say you're beggars, it is not the Pakistani common man who's begging. Unfortunately, it is the state that is begging. It is you, the politicians, who are begging. It is not the common Pakistani who's begging. You are beggars. Now, you know, Pakistan Muslim League Noon in Pakistan, Senator Mushahid Hussain, and he's come to India a lot, the same Mushahid Hussain, and he said that the issue of the Indus Water Treaty was linked with the future of the country, and Pakistan had still not given an effective, solid and bold response over the January 25 notice. So India had given a notice to Pakistan on the Indus Water Treaty. Now I'll tell you something about the Indus Water Treaty. More than 80% of the water, as per the Indus Water Treaty, goes to Pakistan, right? And ever since this treaty was signed, decades ago, much has changed. The population profile has changed. The agricultural profile has changed. The social, the economic profile of both the countries has changed. Pakistan has gone from bad to worse. India is an economic miracle. You know, this one goes from here to here. This one goes from here to here. So a lot has changed. And all India wants is a discussion with Pakistan so that the Indian, government can tell the Pakistanis, and I guess, this is my guess, that the Indian government can tell the Pakistanis that the Indus Water Treaty, you know, it must portray new realities. You can't have something which was done half a century back or more and then say that, no, this is absolutely fine and this will continue for the next 100 years just because you are getting a lion's share of water. And there is no question of unilaterally. I mean, if we had to do it unilaterally, we would have done it. You see? We don't need Pakistan's permission to do it, but the decent thing to do is, since there are two signatories, you Pakistan violated the agreement. As far as Kargil was concerned, it was clearly decided and signed off that both your army and our army would get down from the peaks of Kargil during winters and go back again in the summers. That was a treaty between two countries and you violated that treaty. Parvez Musharraf, your president, later, and your army chief violated the treaty when Nawaz Sharif was the prime minister, I beg your pardon. of Pakistan when he was the Prime Minister. You violated that treaty, yeah? And after violating that treaty, you have the gumption to tell India that don't violate this treaty. We have not violated any treaty. All we want is a conversation. But here is what your minister has to say. Minister for Climate Change. Pakistan has a Minister for Climate Change, right? And in spite of having a Minister for Climate Change, what has happened is 1/3 of Pakistan was submerged underwater because of climate change. Anyway, Minister for Climate Change, Sherry Rahman, while responding to a calling attention notice in the Senate moved by Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Shehzad Wasim and others, stressed that the treaty could not be changed until both parties, Pakistan and India, agreed. Of course, that is exactly what I've been saying all along. It's a treaty. She said India had accused Pakistan of violating the Indus Water Treaty, but there was no clarity on how it had been done. Ma'am, there is enough clarity in that letter that India has sent Pakistan. I would request you to please read that letter, because I know as a Pakistani, reading is the last thing on your mind, and you guys never read. For example, your entire country says that there should be the United Nations resolution on Kashmir. Why aren't we enforcing it? Why isn't India agreeing to it? Not realizing that the first point itself of that resolution states that Pakistan has to get out of POK. Pakistani army has to leave POK. But you have not read it. Nobody in Pakistan has read that. Which is why we hear all this nonsense coming from the Pakistani Senate and Pakistani politicians most of the time. Regarding Indus Water. India never said that it will abrogate it unilaterally and do away with it unilaterally. We've sent you a letter. We want to talk. Because we feel that the treaty is blatantly unfair, given the current realities. Everything has changed. Now, this is not some holy book that you can't change a full stop or a comma. This is not a holy book. This is signed by two states, and there is always scope for revision if both the states agree. And this is exactly what India has requested. It sent you a letter. Please respond to that letter. And as far as Mushahid Hussain saying that we did not give a solid response, what do you want? What do you want? What do you think is a solid response? Please don't give us a solid response. Just give us a logical response. What is this? A Lahore Film Festival movie, Maula Jet? Oye, Maulia, you want to do that with a gandasa in your hand? Is this your idea of international diplomacy? Now, we feel it has been deliberately done. Now, this is what Sherry Rahman says, the Minister for quote-unquote climate change in Pakistan, whatever that means. We feel it has been deliberately done to provoke domestic audience. The Indus Water Treaty, 1960, has survived all kinds of tensions between the two countries and played a vital role in managing water resources between India and Pakistan. Pakistan is committed to the treaty and expects India to fully comply with it. Okay. Now, Sherry Rahman says that essentially the mention of the Indus Water Treaty is for domestic compulsions, and many Pakistanis, opinion makers in Pakistan, they have pointed out to this fact, and they say that no, elections are around the corner. Next year, May, there are going to be the Lok Sabha elections in India. And Prime Minister Modi feels that, that is what the Pakistanis are saying, that Prime Minister Modi feels that he's going to win a third term if he bashes Pakistan enough. Okay. So, the idea here is that, Prime Minister Modi will bash Pakistan and somehow he'll win the elections, because obviously in a country of 140 crore people, the fifth largest economy in the world, right? The country that the IMF calls the beacon of hope, the same IMF from which you're begging $1 billion, the same IMF calls a beacon of hope, the same country which the World Bank says is an island of calm in a sea of storm, right? The same country that has crossed $750 billion of annual exports and plans to touch 1 trillion in a few years from now. Yeah, the same country which is pretty much the IT capital of the world. This country and 1.4 billion of its citizens, led by Shri Narendra Modi, depends upon Pakistan bashing to win elections. This is your argument. This can only be a Lahori argument. This can't be a human argument at all. This can only be a Lahori argument, right? That we are somehow so important. This is, I would like to take a minute, viewers, and explain the typical Pakistani mindset. And this is why Pakistan has suffered for 70, 75 years. This is why it has suffered. We are special. We are unique. You're not special. You're like regular. You're not like regular people also, but at least try and think of yourself like regular people. We are special. We are unique. We Pakistanis decide how the world will turn on its axis. We will decide what will happen to Israel and Palestine. We will decide what will happen to China and India. How will you decide? I mean, has it ever occurred to you? What you are saying is that somehow the Prime Minister of India, and this is what many Pakistani analysts, so-called, have said, that somehow they are trying to rake up the Indus Water Treaty because India is going to elections next year. I'd just like to inform the Pakistanis, the common man, the common Indian on the road is not even aware of what the Indus Water Treaty is. He's not aware. He doesn't care. He has been given a dream. He has been given a target that India will become Vishwaguru. India will lead the world. And they're working hard. We are years and decades away from that target. We are miles and miles and miles and miles away from that target to being a world leader. It'll take a lot of hard work. But we believe in that dream and we are trying to achieve that dream. We're doing our very best. We're ramping up our education system. We're doing everything that we can to realize that dream. It does not depend upon Pakistan. Nothing in this world depends upon Pakistan, right? You're saying that India is raking up the Indus Water Treaty just because India is going to elections next year is as fake as Ishaq Dar saying, we are not beggars, we are members of the IMF. Of course you're beggars. And nobody cares about your silly little membership of the IMF. You're beggars. You're there in the IMF to beg for money. Nothing else. How much have you contributed to the IMF? How much have you contributed ever to any other country in the world? How much? Zero. You've always been on the receiving end of aid and help and loans. And that is how Pakistan survives to this. This is the truth. Now, if any Pakistani gets offended, I'm sorry, I apologize. But please do point out in the comment section if you think that I'm wrong. Right? If I'm wrong, let me know. All right. So, in another news, what has happened is that scientists in Andhra Pradesh have found, there's a place called Anantapur in Andhra Pradesh, and they have found rare earth elements, REE. And they say that it's a key component in many electronic devices and various industrial applications, including medical technology, aerospace, and defense. Now, these rare earth elements are they have tongue-twisting names: lanthanum, cerium, praseodymium. I'm sorry, this is extremely tough. Neodymium, yttrium, hafnium, tantalum, niobium, zirconium, and scandium. Okay. So they found all this stuff. Okay, I don't know what this means, honestly. Something. I mean, science people who are good at science and geography and metals, etc., maybe they'll be able to point out what this is. But apparently this is great for space, this is great for medical manufacturing, and it's great for precision engineering, and it's great for electronics, etc. And India has found. So after the lithium deposits found in Riyasi in Jammu, this is the next big find, and I think India is finding stuff for the future. Oil is so yesterday, right? And the world is getting off fossil fuel. The faster, the better. And India is finding new things which can propel. This is good luck, basically. This is not that we did something great. This is just under the earth. This is what God gave us. But I think this is one of the indications that God wants India to have better research and development, bring out better technologies, serve this world better. It's great news. Also, now there is this thing here. This is the last item that I have today. Now, historians like Romila Thapar, this entire thing about Mughals being removed from the textbook. I don't think the Mughals should be removed from any textbook here. But Romila Thapar says that, she should have been consulted. Why? We've been harmed. This country has been harmed because you were allowed to write books. Yeah. I mean, I've read your books. I was very impressed because I didn't know any better. But today I know. This is a one-sided concept of history. And yes, we should have Mughals in our history book. Let future generations know what kind of a terrible beast Aurangzeb was. Let the world know. Let our future generations know what kind of a beast Aurangzeb was. They should know that, how many workers died when the Taj Mahal was being made. And Taj Mahal is a lovely, beautiful structure. I'm very proud that it's there in India. But this has a very, very dark history. And it's not a monument to love. I mean, this guy Shah Jahan, what this guy did was, he started building it when his wife died. And there wasn't any mourning period proper. He just married Noor Jahan's younger sister. And that's it. That is how much he loved Noor Jahan. And these are all historical facts. And where did the money come from? Yeah, this whole building of the Taj Mahal, where did the money come from? I'd like to understand this. Where did the funds come from? They say it came from the emperor's treasury. Now, where did the treasury get filled up from? This was taxes levied upon a hapless population, both Hindu and Muslim. Both Hindu. The Hindus were in much of a majority at that time. Some people say over 90-95% were Hindus during that time. I don't know. I don't know what is true. I'm just telling you something that I may have read somewhere, because that percentage of 90-95 comes to mind, but I can't be sure. But this country has always been majority Hindu. So it stands to reason that Indian merchants, Hindu farmers would have paid a lion's share of the tax out of where the Taj Mahal was built. And again, not taking away anything from that magnificent building, not taking away anything from that. But the fact that it was built, for an emperor by using money taken from the common people. It could have been put to much better use, right? Like, for example, all the people who say that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, his statue is there in Gujarat, and we wasted some 2,000-3,000 crore rupees, utter wastage. We should have made hospitals, right? So Narendra Modi is the villain of the piece. And we should have made hospitals and schools, and why couldn't we just make hospitals and schools? Why waste money? But nobody will go back and say that, this guy Shah Jahan, he wasted so much of money, and not that he wanted to build he wanted to build a monument just for ego satisfaction. And this guy had a plan to make another black Taj Mahal also, it seems. He wanted to make another black one also across the river. By the time I think the Mughal Empire was broke or something like that, or nearly broke, and his son put him in jail, or some nonsense happened. But the fact of the matter is, these things must be told to future generations. Babur came, and the first people that Babur killed in India were Muslims. They were not Hindus. Babur killed Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi was a Muslim. So the Mughals, their mention in our history book has always been outsized. And I'm not here to make this into a communal issue. All that I'm saying is that, have you heard of the Cholas? Mughals didn't go anywhere outside India. They were here only the whole time. They were here only. They never went outside, and and this whole thing that Mughals ruled the entire India, this is also fake. This is also fake. There were always independent, states at that time, even when Delhi was being ruled by the Mughals. And there was always revolt in some other corner of India. Indians as a whole never accepted Mughal rule. But I want to say something. Why don't we actually teach kids about the Cholas here? The Cholas ruled for so much longer, and the Cholas were all over the place. Southeast Asia, Cambodia. I mean, Thailand. I don't know where all the Cholas went. Sri Lanka, of course. Sri Lanka was next door. And they went everywhere. They had the most powerful navy, the Cholas. And after that, of course, who can forget the great, Sardar Angre of the Maratha forces. So we never teach our generations about these things. Teach about the Mughals. Teach about everybody. But also teach, there should be a balance. Also teach our future generations about the Cholas, about the Pandyas, about the Cheras. The Ahom dynasties, right? And what they did about the kings in Bengal, very little is taught actually. It is as if there was no India before 1526, First Battle of Panipat, Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. Before that, there was no India. It was just like some Delhi Sultanate, some Qutubuddin Aibak, some Razia Sultan, some Iltutmish, some XYZ. Somebody came, and before that, there were some Hindu rulers, but All of them insignificant. India actually took birth in 1526. That is what people like Romila Thapar will have you believe, which is not true. Many religions have contributed to the growth of India, to the India story. My only complaint is that the Mughals have always received an outsized mention. There should be fairness in history. There should be a certain grain of truth. All these left-leaning historians, they've caused a lot of damage. Mughal history must be taught, and one thing more must be taught. Today, let me make this plea. Let me make this request to the government of India. If you actually want our future generations to be strong, to be nationalistic, to be patriotic, you must teach them. Make Zafarnama compulsory reading for all students, at least of class 10th, 11th and 12th, when they're old enough to understand. Make it compulsory. Make Zafarnama compulsory reading. Zafarnama was written by Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj wrote it when, in the Battle of Chamkaur Sahib, he defeated the forces of Aurangzeb. And you must read Zafarnama to know what leadership is, what statesmanship is, what moral character is. We are blessed in this country. We are blessed in this country to have great people like, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. We are lucky. We are blessed. But unfortunately, how much have you read about in our history books? How much have you read about Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj? How many chapters are there on the Marathas, on Chhatrapati Shivaji, on the Cholas, the Pandyas, the Cheras? How many? Yes, there is a mention. But then, before the Mughals came to India, all of us were probably wearing skins, and eating raw meat or something like that, which is not true. We are an ancient civilization and we should be proud. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. I hope you like this video, and please give me your comments down below in the comment section. And like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.